Let's be clear about something from the very start. Where you are right now is not where you have to stay. Your current situation, no matter how challenging, painful, or limited it may seem, is not the full measure of who you are. It's just a chapter, not the whole story. We live in a world that's quick to label you based on appearances. If you come from a poor background, people might assume you'll stay there. If you've made mistakes, the world wants to define you by them. If you're quiet, they might assume you have nothing to say. But none of those things are true. The truth is, your beginning has nothing to do with your final destination. What you were born into, what you currently struggle with, and what you're facing today, these are temporary. But what's inside of you, that drive, that vision, that hunger to become more, that's permanent. That's real. That's where your potential lies. Think about the people the world often celebrates. They weren't all born into wealth, opportunity, or privilege. Many of them started with less than nothing. Some were told they'd never make it, never become anything significant. But they didn't allow those circumstances to define them. They used them. They turned pain into purpose, adversity into fuel, and setbacks into stepping stones. And you can too. You see, your circumstances are like the weather. They change. Sometimes the skies are clear and everything feels possible. Other times storms roll in and all you can do is hang on. But no storm lasts forever. And even in the middle of the rain, the thunder, the wind, you still have power. You still have choice. You still have the ability to decide, this is not how my story ends. But that shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you stop seeing your limitations as permanent. It happens when you recognize that your past does not have to become your prison. Yes, you may have grown up in a place where dreams were mocked, where survival was more important than success. But your environment does not own you. Your potential is not determined by your zip code, your bank account, or your family history. It is determined by your vision, your effort, and your resilience. You might be broke. You might be alone. You might be scared. But you are not broken. You are not done. And you are not powerless. The very fact that you're still here, still searching, still hungry to hear a message like this, that's proof. Proof that there's something in you that refuses to settle. Proof that your soul knows there's more waiting for you. Something greater, something higher, something meaningful. And that's not just blind hope. That's a truth too deep to ignore. It's why you keep getting up, no matter how many times life knocks you down. It's why you feel that tension in your chest, that whisper in your mind, that gut feeling that you're made for something more, because you are. Look at yourself right now. Really look. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not your debt, your job title, or the doubts of other people. You are not your trauma. You are not your fear. You are potential in motion. You are growth in progress. You are strength being refined by fire. The world may not see it yet. The people around you may still treat you like the person you used to be. But that's okay. Let them underestimate you. Because eventually, your results will speak louder than their assumptions. Eventually, the life you create will silence every doubt. But before anyone else believes in that version of you, you have to hold onto the truth that your current situation is just a snapshot, not the whole movie. You have to refuse to let this chapter define your entire book. You have to believe that the dream placed inside you was not random. It was intentional. You were meant to grow through what you're going through. You were meant to rise. You have to understand that there are people living lives right now that were once just distant dreams. And the only thing that separated them from everyone else wasn't luck or timing. It was belief. It was persistence. It was a decision repeated every single day that said, I am not what I'm going through. I am what I'm growing into. There's a myth that too many people believe. A lie that whispers, wait until everything is right. It tells you to hold off until you have more time, more money, more support, more knowledge. It convinces you that you need the stars to align perfectly before you can start chasing your dream. But the truth is, if you wait for perfect conditions, you'll wait forever. Perfection is an illusion. Timing will never be flawless. And yet, your dream is still waiting for you to begin, not when everything feels safe, but when you choose to believe anyway. There are people who've done more with less. People who built empires from broken places. People who had every reason to quit, but kept going because something in them wouldn't let go. That something wasn't certainty. It wasn't comfort. It wasn't perfection. It was belief. A deep, unshakable belief that said, even if no one else sees it yet, I do. Belief doesn't eliminate fear or failure. It gives you the strength to keep going in spite of them. Belief is not passive. It's not just something you feel in quiet moments of inspiration. It's a daily decision. When everything feels stacked against you, when doors close, when progress stalls, when criticism gets loud, belief is what keeps your feet moving. It's what helps you put one step in front of the other, even in the dark, even when the path ahead looks like nothing but uncertainty. Belief whispers, keep going. It's still possible. You're not done. Perfect conditions are a trap. They convince you to postpone action. They dress up procrastination as preparation. Of course, planning matters. Of course, skills and strategy are important. But none of it means anything without belief to ignite it. The most brilliant ideas die in the hands of people who don't believe in them enough to act. Meanwhile, those with courage and conviction, even without all the answers, make progress. They learn as they go. They build as they move. They grow while they're in motion. You don't need to have the right network. You don't need to wait until you feel 100% ready. You don't need everyone's approval. The only thing you truly need to begin is the belief that your dream matters and that you have something inside of you capable of bringing it to life. That belief is the root. Everything else grows from it. When belief is strong, it creates momentum. You begin to take risks, not reckless ones, but the kind that stretch you. You begin to speak up, apply, try, ask, show up in rooms you once thought you didn't belong in. Not because you're suddenly more qualified, but because your belief made you brave. And that bravery creates opportunities. That courage gets noticed. People feel energy. They feel confidence. And belief radiates both. If you look back at any journey worth remembering, it didn't begin in perfection. It began in chaos, uncertainty, vulnerability. It began with a decision to try, to trust, to believe that there's something greater on the other side of effort. And that belief, that's where everything changed. That's what made all the difference. Not funding, not fame, not having it all figured out. Just belief. Some of the most successful people you admire didn't have a roadmap. They didn't know exactly what they were doing when they started. What they had was belief in their idea, belief in their worth, belief in their ability to figure it out along the way. And they kept building, one imperfect step at a time, one quiet act of defiance against doubt, one day of belief stacked on top of the next. That's how dreams take shape, not through perfection, but through persistence born from belief. You may not have the connections, the ideal circumstances, or even full clarity yet. But if you have belief, you are more equipped than you realize. Because belief turns limitations into lessons. It transforms lack into creativity. It gives you the patience to keep building when there's no applause. It's the seed from which everything grows. Not comfort, not certainty, not ideal timing, Belief is the beginning of everything worthwhile. There are moments in life when an idea comes to you and refuses to leave. It might not be loud. It may not demand attention, but it lingers. It stays with you during quiet drives, in the middle of conversations, or late at night when everything else fades. That idea, that dream, that vision, it's not random. It's not some fleeting fantasy that floated in by accident. It's a calling, a personal summons from the deepest part of you, a signal that there is something you were meant to do, to build, to become. Too often, people dismiss their dreams as coincidences. They say, "Why me?" Or, "This is probably just my imagination." They convince themselves that what they feel drawn to isn't practical or realistic. So they tuck it away. They let logic bury longing. But no dream comes to you by accident. It chooses you for a reason. It speaks your language story. It aligns with your pain, your passion, your journey. That's not coincidence. That's clarity waiting to be accepted. A calling doesn't shout. It's subtle. It nudges you gently over and over until you either follow it or silence it. Some people try to ignore because it doesn't come with guarantees. A calling will not give you step-by-step instructions or a finish line marked with certainty. It only offers you one thing, the truth about what you're capable of. It dares you to believe in a version of yourself that you haven't yet become. And that can be terrifying, because once you acknowledge a calling, you can't unhear it. You can't pretend you don't know it's there. The dream that keeps coming back to you is connected to your life's purpose. That's why it's so persistent. That's why it shows up even when you try to move on, even when you try to settle for something smaller. It's not just a preference. It's part of your design. The world didn't place that dream in you. Life didn't give it to you by accident. It was built into your soul from the beginning. And when you lean into it, you start to feel alive in ways nothing else can replicate. Your dream isn't just about what you want. It's about what the world needs from you. It's about contribution. It's about the unique way you are meant to add value, to create meaning, to change even one life. Some people spend their whole existence chasing what they think they're supposed to do, when deep down they already know what truly calls to them. But they ignore it because it's inconvenient, because it feels risky, because it doesn't match what others expect. But dreams were never meant to fit into anyone else's expectations. They were meant to stretch you beyond what's comfortable so you can grow into what's possible. Think about it. Why do some dreams feel so personal, so emotional, so urgent? Why does the thought of walking away from it leave a hollow feeling? That's not coincidence. That's connection. That's your future self calling you forward. That's the life you were meant to live, reaching out through the noise of the one you're currently in. And the only way to honor that call is to move to start. To stop treating your dream like a side thought and start treating it like the mission it is. You don't need to justify your dream to anyone else. You don't need approval to pursue what makes your spirit come alive. Some people won't understand it. That's okay. It wasn't given to them. It was given to you. It belongs to you. And if it's calling you, it's because you are capable of rising to meet it. The path may be long. It may be unclear, but that doesn't make it any less real. If anything, it makes it sacred. So the next time you feel that tug in your chest, that idea that won't go away, that vision you see over and over again, don't brush it off. Don't rationalize it away. That's not your imagination running wild. That's your truth trying to break through. That's your calling reminding you of who you are and what you were created to do. That's purpose showing up disguised as possibility. It's not a coincidence That it found you fear is one of the most human emotions you will ever experience. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're unprepared. It doesn't mean you're not meant for greatness. In fact, fear often shows up right before a breakthrough, right before you do something you've never done, right before you stretch beyond the familiar. The presence of fear doesn't signal failure. It simply signals that you're about to enter a space where growth is possible. And in that space, you will face a choice, not between fear and fearlessness, but between fear and forward motion. You can't eliminate fear entirely. That's not how it works. Fear will whisper every excuse in the book. It will tell you that now isn't the time, that you don't have what it takes, that someone else could do it better, that you'll be embarrassed if you try and fall short. Fear thrives in the unknown. It feeds off uncertainty. But the fact that you feel fear is not a reason to stop. It's proof that you're alive, that you care, that you're aiming at something that matters. Fear is natural. It's hardwired into your system to protect you. But sometimes what was designed to protect you begins to confine you. The same instinct that once helped you avoid danger can start convincing you to avoid opportunity. It tells you to stay small, stay silent, stay hidden. But dreams don't live in comfort zones. They don't grow in the safety of the sidelines. They grow in motion. They grow when you show up trembling, uncertain, unsure, but still willing. There's a difference between fear and quitting. Everyone feels fear. Not everyone chooses to quit. Quitting is not something that happens to you. It's something you decide. And often, it doesn't look dramatic. It's subtle. It's quiet. It's convincing. It disguises itself as logic. It sounds like, maybe this isn't for me, or maybe I was never meant to do this. But deep down, most people don't quit because they're not capable. They quit because they let fear lead. They quit because the discomfort of growth scared them more than the pain of staying stuck. You will always have the option to give up. That door is always open, but so is the door to endurance. So is the door to persistence. And the key that unlocks that door is choice. Every time you feel afraid and choose to keep going, you reclaim power. Every time you stumble and get back up, you reinforce resilience. Fear may still be in the room, but it doesn't get to make decisions unless you hand it the mic. You can train your mind to live with fear without being controlled by it. That's what courageous people do. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the refusal to let fear dictate the outcome. It's the decision to act even while afraid. When you start to see fear as a companion rather than a roadblock, you begin to move differently. You stop waiting to feel confident and start moving with conviction. You stop waiting for the fear to go away and start realizing that progress comes when you learn to act in spite of it. What separates those who reach their dreams from those who don't is rarely talent. It's rarely opportunity. More often, it comes down to who was willing to keep going, who was willing to stand in the storm, to move through the fog, to try again after hearing no, to rise again after falling flat. The ones who keep showing up are the ones who ultimately break through. They didn't keep going because they had no fear. They kept going because they refused to give it control. You're allowed to feel fear. You're allowed to acknowledge it. But what you're not allowed to do, if you want to build something meaningful, is to let fear become your identity. It's not who you are. It's a passing feeling, a messenger. And once it's done talking, your choice remains to stop or to go, to retreat or to rise. Fear is natural. Quitting is a decision. One of them is human. The other is optional. Every person reaches a point in their journey where things get hard. When motivation fades, when progress slows, when the path forward seems longer than expected, that's when excuses show up. They don't always sound like lies. They sound reasonable. They sound justifiable. I'm too tired. I don't have time. It's not the right season of my life. I'll start again next month. These excuses are subtle, but powerful. They give you a way out. They create distance between you and your potential. But excuses only have as much power as you allow them to. What silences excuses is not discipline alone. It's your reason, your why, the deeper purpose behind what you're doing. And that reason, if it is real, if it is strong, must always be louder than any excuse your mind tries to offer. Your excuses are temporary. They're driven by emotion, fatigue, fear, and doubt. But your reason is rooted in something deeper. It's anchored in who you want to become, in what you want to change, in the people you want to impact. Your reason pulls you forward when your energy is low. It's the fuel for your endurance. Without a reason, excuses win every time, because life will always give you a reason to stop. Life is full of obstacles, full of interruptions, full of inconvenient moments. If you're relying on ease or perfect timing, you won't make it far. But when your reason is personal, when it lives in your heart, when it makes you emotional, when it reminds you of the stakes, you'll find the strength to keep moving even when it's difficult. Your reason must become a commitment, something sacred. It's not just a goal. It's a promise to your future self, a promise to your family, a promise to the little version of you who once believed anything was possible. When excuses start to creep in, your reason has to rise and remind you why you started. It has to become the voice that speaks back to your comfort zone. The one that says, no, not this time. I've come too far. I'm not going back now. Everyone has bad days. Everyone hits walls. But the ones who break through are the ones who are connected to something larger than convenience. Your reason might be freedom. It might be legacy. It might be healing. It might be proving to yourself that you're capable. It might be changing the trajectory of your life or your family's life. Whatever it is, it has to matter more than your excuses, because your excuses will come wrapped in logic, but your reason must come wrapped in fire. There will be times when quitting feels easier than continuing, when standing still feels safer than moving forward. That's when your reason needs to be right in front of you, not tucked away in a journal or locked in your memory, but active and present. You need to feel it in your chest. You need to hear it louder than the doubt. The truth is, your excuses are often driven by short-term discomfort, but your reason speaks to long-term purpose. You have to choose what matters more, comfort now or growth later. Think about any meaningful achievement in your life, no matter how big or small. Behind it, there was a reason. There was a push. There was something you wanted badly enough to go through discomfort, to stay up late, to start over, to try again after failure. That part of you is still there. It didn't disappear. It's just waiting to be activated again, not with empty motivation, but with real connection to what you want and why it matters. Excuses will always feel valid in the moment. They are designed to keep you safe, to help you avoid pain, but they will also rob you of fulfillment. They will delay progress, dilute potential, and distract you from the very thing you were called to do. That's why your reason must be clear. You have to define it, feel it, repeat it, build your actions around it. Because when your reason becomes your anchor, your excuses lose their weight. You stop making decisions based on how you feel in the moment and start making them based on the future you're fighting for. You stop waiting for the perfect mood or the perfect circumstances and start showing up because the mission demands it. Your reason isn't optional. It's essential. It's the thread that holds everything together when things begin to unravel. It's what keeps you aligned when distractions tempt you off course. It's what reminds you who you are and what you're chasing when everything else around you tells you to slow down or give up. And it's what you return to again and again when life tries to convince you to let go of the dream that once lit a fire in your soul. Everything you've been through, every doubt you've carried, every fear you've faced, none of it disqualifies you. In fact, it all proves that you are exactly the kind of person who can rise. Your circumstances may have challenged you, but they cannot define you. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need every step figured out. What you need is to believe deeply, relentlessly, that the dream within you was placed there for a reason. This isn't coincidence. That vision in your heart is a calling, a message from the part of you that refuses to shrink, the part that knows you're made for something more. Fear will walk beside you, yes, but it doesn't get to lead. You do. And when you feel the weight of quitting pressing down, when excuses start sounding reasonable, return to your reason. Let it speak louder than your doubts, stronger than your distractions. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be faithful to your future. Your dream is not impossible. It is waiting right on the other side of your decision to believe, to act, to persist, and to never turn back